Hello, and a very warm welcome back to English Made Easy. This is the channel that helps you learn English in the simplest, most natural way possible, not just with grammar rules, but with ideas that matter to our lives. Today, we're talking about something personal, something we all experience, but maybe don't always have the right words for. We're going to talk about how to be alone. We will look at how the exact same situation, an empty room, a quiet evening, can feel like a punishment to one person and a gift to another. We will uncover why this is and how you can transform your relationship with your own company. Being alone can feel like the greatest freedom, or it can feel like a prison. The difference often comes from how you see yourself, not just from who is around you. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned and improved. Along the way, we're going to explore some beautiful, powerful, and advanced English words. Now, don't worry, these aren't just words for a test. They are words that give a name to feelings you've probably already had. When you can name a feeling, you can understand it. And when you can understand it, you have power over it. These words will help you in a job interview, in a deep conversation with a friend, or even just in a quiet moment when you're trying to understand your own heart. I promise you, by the end of our time together today, you won't just know what the new advanced words mean, you'll feel them. You'll understand exactly how to use them, when to use them, and how to apply them to your own life. And as always, I want you to say the new words with me. Repeat after me, even if you're just whispering to yourself. I'll speak with a natural rhythm, just like a native speaker, so you can get used to the sound and the flow. Ready? Let's begin. This is what we're exploring today. Let's not call it being alone, because that phrase can sound a little sad, a little empty. Let's call it the art of solitude. The purpose of learning this art is not to push people away or to become a hermit who lives on a mountain. The purpose is to find a sense of peace and strength inside yourself so that you are not dependent on other people or external distractions for your happiness. It's about learning to be your own best friend, to find your own company not just tolerable, but truly enjoyable. This is a skill that works best when you feel overwhelmed by the noise of the world, when you feel lost in the crowd, or when you feel a quiet ache of loneliness, even when you're surrounded by people. The word solitude is the heart of our lesson today. Solitude. Let's say that together. Solitude. Solitude. It means the state of being alone, but in a positive, peaceful, or chosen way. It's a crucial distinction. Loneliness is a painful, involuntary state of social isolation. Solitude is the glorious, voluntary state of being alone with yourself. Loneliness is a feeling of lacking something. Solitude is a feeling of being whole. It's like the difference between an empty house and a peaceful sanctuary. Loneliness is the empty house. It feels cold, abandoned, and haunted by what's missing. Solitude is the sanctuary. It's a place of comfort, safety, and rest that you have intentionally created for yourself. A synonym for solitude could be privacy or seclusion. But solitude carries a richer, more positive and spiritual feeling. You might say, after a long, busy week at work, I need a weekend of quiet solitude to recharge my energy. Now, you might wonder why this is so important, especially today. What's the big idea behind it? Well, we live in a world that is defined by its incessant noise. Let's practice that word. It's a very useful one. Incessant. Incessant. The stress is on the second syllable, cess. Incessant. Incessant means continuing without pause or interruption. It's something that never stops, and it's often used to describe something unpleasant, like a noise or a complaint. Think of the incessant buzzing of a mosquito in a dark room, or the incessant chatter of a crowd. A simpler word would be nonstop or constant. We live in an age of incessant notifications from our phones. The flow of information, opinions, and advertising is incessant. This constant, incessant stimulation from the outside world can have a very sneaky, harmful effect. Its influence can be pernicious. Let's try that one. Pernicious. Per-ni-shis. Stress on the second syllable, ni. Pernicious. Pernicious means having a harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. It's not a sudden, obvious danger like a car crash. It's a slow poison, something that harms you over time without you even noticing it. A synonym could be damaging or destructive. You could say the pernicious belief that you must always be busy leads to burnout and anxiety. Or gossip can have a pernicious effect on friendships. The pernicious effect of our always-on culture is that we can slowly forget who we are when all the noise is gone. We build our identities based on our jobs, our social media profiles, our roles as a friend, a partner, a child. The theory behind practicing solitude is simple. When you remove all the external input, you get to discover what is left. You get to hear your own authentic voice, understand your own true feelings, and build a relationship with the most important person in your life, yourself. It's about building a foundation of self-knowledge that is strong enough to stand on its own without needing constant approval or distraction from the outside world. So, how do you actually do this? How do you practice the art of solitude? It's a process, and it begins with preparing your space and your mind. This doesn't mean you need a special meditation room. It just means finding or creating a small corner of the world that feels safe and comfortable for you. It could be a chair by a window, a spot under a tree in a quiet park, or even just your own bed with the door closed. The goal is to create an atmosphere that is congenial to relaxation and inner exploration. Let's look at that word again. It's a good one. Congenial. Con-G-nial. The stress is on the second syllable, G. Congenial. Congenial means pleasant, suitable, or friendly. It describes a person, a place, or an atmosphere that you feel comfortable in, a place where you can be yourself. If a person is congenial, they're easy to talk to. If a place is congenial, it has a good, welcoming feeling. A simpler synonym for congenial is agreeable or pleasant. You're looking for a congenial environment. For example, I love that cafe. The soft music and comfortable chairs create a very congenial atmosphere for reading. Your preparation is about finding a place that feels congenial to you. It's your personal sanctuary. But the most crucial part of this preparation is the inner decision. It's the choice to turn off the distractions. This means making a conscious pact with yourself. And the most important step in this pact is to put your phone away. I don't mean just putting it on silent. I mean putting it in another room. This act can feel surprisingly difficult. It's a form of abnegation. Let's learn this powerful word. Abnegation. Ab-ne-gay-shun. The stress is on the third syllable, gay. Abnegation. Abnegation is the act of rejecting or renouncing something. It's a kind of self-denial. When you choose not to do something that you want to do, especially for a higher purpose, that is abnegation. A simpler way to put it is renunciation or giving up. The act of putting your phone away for an hour is a small act of abnegation. You are giving up the instant gratification of notifications for the greater reward of inner peace. An example could be living a simple life requires the abnegation of many material desires. Once you have your congenial space and you've performed this small act of abnegation, the next step is the introduction to your period of solitude. This is often the hardest part. You sit down, the phone is gone, the TV is off, and the silence arrives. And your first feeling might not be peace. It might be a strange, uncomfortable agitation, a kind of restlessness or boredom. You might feel a general sense of unease, a feeling that something is wrong, but you don't know what it is. This feeling has a name. It's called malaise. Let's try that French word. Malaise. It sounds like malaise. Malaise is a general feeling of discomfort, illness, or unhappiness whose exact cause is difficult to identify. It's not a sharp pain. It's a dull, heavy feeling. It's when you feel off, but can't explain why. You feel tired, but you don't know why. A simpler way to say it would be a feeling of unease or discontent. In the beginning, solitude can sometimes create a feeling of malaise. Your mind, so used to constant entertainment, suddenly has nothing to consume, and it protests. You might think, I don't know why, but I feel a strange malaise every Sunday evening before the work week begins. Your job in this stage is not to run away from this malaise. This is the first test. Don't immediately jump up and find something to do. The introduction to solitude is about learning to sit with that discomfort. Just notice it. Acknowledge it. There's that restless feeling. My body wants to move. My mind wants the distraction. Breathe. It's just your brain adjusting to the quiet. This feeling will pass. To stay with it requires a kind of inner strength, a kind of courage. It requires fortitude. Here's a truly wonderful word. Fortitude. Fortitude. The stress is on the first syllable, for. Fortitude. Fortitude means courage in pain or adversity. It's not about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear or the discomfort or the pain and facing it anyway with resolve. It's quiet, steady strength. A synonym could be endurance or bravery. It takes fortitude to sit with uncomfortable feelings instead of running away from them. You could say, she faced her long illness with incredible fortitude. Now we move into the main part, the execution. What do you actually do during your time of solitude? The answer is, it's less about doing and more about being. This is your time for deep personal reflection. This is a time for introspection. Here's that beautiful word again. Introspection. The stress is on the third syllable. Introspection. Introspection is the examination of your own conscious thoughts and feelings. It literally means to look inside. When you practice introspection, you're asking yourself questions like, how am I really feeling right now beneath the surface? What is important to me, truly? What am I worried about? What am I grateful for? A simpler way to describe it is self-examination or deep thought. Solitude provides the perfect environment for introspection. An example sentence could be, his journal was a place of deep introspection where he could explore his fears and dreams without judgment. During your solitude, you might practice introspection by writing in a journal. You don't need to write a masterpiece. Just ask yourself, how am I? And write whatever comes to your mind without judgment. Or you could listen to a piece of music, Really listen without doing anything else. Maybe it's a beautiful piece of classical music with a mellifluous sound. Let's try that one. Mellifluous. The stress is on the second syllable. Lif. Mellifluous. Mellifluous describes a voice or sound that is sweet, smooth, and pleasant to hear. It flows like honey. A simple synonym could be sweet sounding or harmonious. You could say, I could listen to her mellifluous voice for hours. In your solitude, you might listen to a mellifluous melody and just notice what emotions it brings up in you. Another activity is to simply go for a walk in nature and pay attention to the small details around you, the shape of a leaf, the color of the sky, the feeling of the wind. The key is to avoid filling the time with tasks that are simply distractions. Cleaning the kitchen or organizing your emails is not solitude. These are often just prosaic tasks we use to avoid being alone with our thoughts. Let's refresh our memory on that word. Prosaic. The stress is on the second syllable, zays. Prosaic. Prosaic means ordinary, dull, and lacking in imagination or excitement. It's the opposite of poetic or romantic. It describes the everyday, mundane parts of life. A synonym could be commonplace or unimaginative. For example, she longed for a life of adventure, but her days were filled with prosaic chores like paying bills and grocery shopping. The goal of solitude is to move beyond the prosaic and connect with something deeper inside yourself. It's a time to let your mind wander, to be creative, to daydream. You might find yourself thinking deeply about a problem or a memory. This act of thinking deeply in that length about something can be called to cogitate.
Let's practice this one. Cogitate. Ka-j-tate. Stress on the first syllable. Ka. Ka-j-tate. To cogitate means to think deeply about something, to meditate or reflect. It's a very intentional kind of thinking. A synonym is to ponder or to contemplate. When you are in solitude, you give yourself the rare opportunity to truly cogitate on the important questions in your life. An example, he went to the library to cogitate on the meaning of the ancient text. Sometimes, while you cogitate, difficult thoughts or feelings may arise. You might start to ruminate on a mistake you made or a worry about the future. Let's revisit this important word. Ruminate. Ru-me-nate. Stress on the first syllable. Ru. Ruminate. To ruminate means to think deeply about something. Now, this can be healthy or unhealthy. Unhealthy rumination is when you get stuck in a negative loop, thinking about the same problem over and over without any resolution. But in healthy solitude, you can learn to ruminate with curiosity. You can look at the thought or feeling from different angles, not with judgment, but with the desire to understand. When you allow yourself to feel a difficult emotion fully, like a wave of sadness or anger, and you don't run from it, something amazing happens. It passes, and the act of feeling and releasing it can be incredibly healing. It can be cathartic. That's our next word. Cathartic. Cathartic. Stress on the second syllable. Thar. Cathar. A cathartic experience is one that provides psychological relief through the open expression of strong emotions. Crying can be cathartic. Talking honestly about a problem can be cathartic. Creating art can be cathartic. It's like cleaning out a wound. It might hurt a little in the moment, but it's what allows you to heal. A simpler word for it might be releasing or purifying. You might find that writing about your frustrations in a journal is a deeply cathartic process. Finally, after your chosen period of time, whether it's 15 minutes or a whole afternoon, you need a way to wrap up the experience. You don't want to just jolt back into the noisy world. The wrap-up is about a gentle transition. Maybe you end your time with a few deep breaths. You can think of one thing you learned or one thing you're grateful for from your time alone. The goal is to carry the feeling of peace you have cultivated back into your life. With practice, you can develop a sense of inner calm that stays with you even when you are surrounded by chaos. This state of mental calmness and composure, especially in a difficult situation, is called equanimity. Let's practice this wonderful word again. Equanimity. The main stress is on the third syllable, nim. Equanimity. Equanimity is the ability to remain calm and balanced, to not get too high with good news or too low with bad news. It's a state of mental stability that is incredibly powerful. A good synonym is composure or level-headedness. A person with equanimity doesn't panic easily. You could say, despite the chaos breaking out all around her, the nurse handled the emergency with remarkable equanimity. Practicing solitude is like weight training for your equanimity muscle. Let's look at some examples to make this even clearer. Imagine a young man, Alex. He has a free evening. He's in his apartment. The silence makes him anxious. He immediately grabs his phone and starts scrolling through social media. He sees pictures of his friends out at a party. He starts to feel a pang of loneliness, of being left out. He compares his quiet, prosaic evening to their exciting one. He switches to a news app and reads stressful headlines. An hour passes. He looks up from his phone feeling drained, more anxious than before, and with a deep sense of malaise. He wasn't practicing solitude. He was just distracting himself from the feeling of loneliness, and it didn't work. His evening was a failed attempt to eschew his own thoughts. Let's learn that word. Eschew. Eschew. It sounds like eschew. To eschew means to deliberately avoid using, abstaining from, or giving up something. It's a strong, intentional avoidance. A synonym could be to shun or avoid. Alex was trying to eschew the discomfort of silence. A healthier example would be a good student will eschew procrastination and focus on their work. Now, a good example. Let's imagine a young woman named Sophia in the exact same situation. A free evening. She feels the initial pull of her phone, but she chooses to eschew that distraction and puts it in a drawer. She makes tea. She sits by the window. At first, her mind is busy. She starts to ruminate on something a friend said that bothered her. Instead of pushing the thought away, she practices introspection. She gets curious. Why did it bother her? She realizes it's connected to a deeper fear of not being good enough. She feels a wave of sadness, and she lets herself feel it. This cathartic moment passes, and she feels lighter. This initial small feeling of peace is nascent. Here is a beautiful word. Nascent. The stress is on the first syllable. Nascent. Nascent means just coming into existence and beginning to display signs of future potential. It describes the very beginning of something. A simple synonym is emerging or budding. Sophia feels a nascent sense of calm. You could also say the tech startup is still in its nascent stages, but it has great potential. By the end of the hour, Sophia's nascent peace has grown. She feels calmer and understands herself better. That is the art of solitude in practice. So, what are the advantages of learning this skill? They are profound. You increase your self-awareness. Your creativity can flourish. You become more independent, realizing you don't need constant validation from others. Over time, practicing solitude can even help to ameliorate feelings of anxiety and stress. Let's break that word down again. Ameliorate. The stress is on the second syllable, meal. Ameliorate.
To ameliorate means to make a bad or unpleasant situation better. It doesn't mean to solve it completely, but to improve it, to make it less severe. A synonym would be to improve or to ease. Solitude might not make all your problems disappear, but it can ameliorate the stress they cause, giving you the clarity to deal with them more effectively. With enough practice, you might even develop a penchant for solitude. Let's say this fun French word again, penchant, penchant. It sounds like penchant. A penchant is a strong or habitual liking for something. A synonym could be a fondness or a liking. You might find that after practicing for a while, you develop a real penchant for quiet evenings at home. Of course, this journey is not without its challenges. It's important to be honest. The biggest challenge is that initial discomfort. But another challenge is guilt. You might hear a voice in your head saying, you should be doing something productive, or you're being lazy. This is the voice of a culture that worships busyness. Learning to ignore it is part of the practice. Another challenge is being realistic. Solitude is a powerful tool, but it is not a panacea. Let's learn that. Panacea. Pan-a-see-a. The stress is on the third syllable, C. A panacea is a solution or remedy for all difficulties or diseases. It's a cure-all, a magic bullet. A synonym would be a universal cure. Solitude is not a panacea. It will not magically fix all of your life's problems. If you are struggling with serious depression or anxiety, it is important to seek professional help. But it is a practice that can support your mental health in a profound way. And finally, you must accept that the peace you find in solitude can sometimes feel ephemeral. Let's practice that beautiful word one last time. Ephemeral. Ephemeral. The stress is on the second syllable, fem. Ephemeral. Ephemeral means lasting for a very short time. It's fleeting, transient. A rainbow is ephemeral. A simple synonym is short-lived or temporary. You might have a wonderful hour of solitude and feel amazing, only to be thrown back into a stressful situation that makes the peace disappear. That's okay. The goal isn't to achieve a permanent state of bliss. The goal is to know that the peaceful place inside you exists, and you can always return to it. The feeling is ephemeral, but the path back to it becomes stronger with every visit. So, what are some final tips for success? First, start small. Start with 15 minutes. Schedule it in your calendar like an important appointment, a meeting with yourself. Second, be kind to yourself. If you get distracted, if your mind wanders, that's normal. Don't judge yourself. Just gently bring your attention back. Third, think of it as a gift. It's not a punishment, it's a respite.
A respite is a short period of rest or relief from something difficult or unpleasant. A coffee break during a long day of work is a respite. A synonym is a break or rest. Solitude should feel like a respite from the constant demands of the world. For instance, the weekend trip to the mountains was a welcome respite from the stress of city life. The most important, the most salient benefit of all this practice is not just about getting better at being alone. The salient reason to practice solitude is to build such a strong, kind, and interesting relationship with yourself that you are never truly lonely. It is about building an inner home that you can always return to, a center of calm and strength inside you, so that when you go back out into the world, you can do so as a more whole, more present, and more compassionate person. What do you think? Is this something you already practice or something you'd like to try? What are your biggest challenges with being alone? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to read your thoughts, and so would everyone else in our community. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to improve your English faster, a little bit every day makes a huge difference. Try listening to our videos like a daily podcast, and you will see your confidence and your vocabulary grow. Until next time, take good care of yourself.